evening, everybody. Welcome to this very special edition of Geeks Who Like Sports. I am your special edition host today, Lee Elias, over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. But on the other side of the country in Los Angeles, California, is my best friend in the world, Ray Carcillo. Ray, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right, Lee, and we should probably preface this for those who have not seen the show before. Typically, that's kind of my intro. Usually, I am the intro guy and kind of driving things, but Lee is the trekker of the duo here, so he is manning the helm. He is captaining this show more so. Not to say I don't know anything about Star Trek, but definitely, Lee, this is your forte. This is your wheelhouse. I'm doing fine here in LA. It's actually kind of nice out today, so there you go.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. I got to tell you, Ray, thank you for qualifying me. That actually means a lot. I appreciate this. So normally on the show, this is like the mirror universe of this show, as we joked about before for all the Trekker fans out there. Typically, Ray does host the show, as he said. And when it comes to the Geeks Who Like Sports mantra, now we're both geeks and we both like sports. Right. I'm definitely the more sports guy, and Ray is definitely the more geek guy on the show. But today, the tables have completely turned. I am oozing my Star Trekdom today. I have a whole presentation planned for this thing. If you are a Trekker, if you love Star Trek, let me just say this. I do too. I have my Star Trek encyclopedia with me, which I used to carry around with me in my backpack. I am drinking Earl Grey tea hot. It's not a joke. It really is from the UK. It's from the UK.
I can confirm that Lee is drinking Earl Grey tea. I have tea as well,
delicious.
But it's not Earl Grey. I'm all out.
Yes.
But to be fair, I do have a couple of Star Trek things here too, including my Star Trek Online.
Whoa! Never has he surprised me with a prop before. Again, usually my job. Clearly, what is that? The Enterprise?
This is specifically the Enterprise from Star Trek Online. This is Star Trek Online Enterprise, so it's slightly different.
That is beautiful.
It's NCC 1701F. So it's
F.
F, exactly.
So
it's specifically
the newest Enterprise.
It's specifically for the Star Trek Online universe, and I thought, see if I do it right here along the bottom of the screen. It looks like it's not on a stand, but it is.
Ray has never shocked me with a prop. I will just use my normal profiteers here and just say yes and thumbs up to that. Okay, so listen, if you're watching this, first off, we are so excited to be here at Virtual TrekCon. It has literally been a bucket list of mine to appear at a TrekCon in some form, and the fact that we are here, I am literally honored to be here speaking to you, all that are listening. I want to thank everybody, the organizers of this event, and I want to thank you that are watching this, because this really is a dream come true for me. Again, just to give you an idea of what Star Trek has meant in my life, I'm an athlete. I played ice hockey my entire life. I played sports my whole life. But I have always watched Star Trek The Next Generation, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Voyager, Star Trek Enterprise, Star Trek everything. Okay, I'm a huge Star Trek fan. All right, my afternoons were always I go to school, I come home, I watch DS9. I went outside and played roller hockey. Then I came inside, watched DS9 every single night, did my homework, came home, read Star Trek, watched Star Trek. Again, I'm overdoing it, but I want you watching to know that I am a true Trekker. Okay, so yes. I have lots of notes here. We're going to have a 4-part episode today. It's going to be very simple. We're going to go over kind of the bigger lexicon of sports in the Star Trek universe. We're going to look at sports with Star Trek outside of the Star Trek universe. We're also going to look at some of the famous athletes that might have been involved in Star Trek. And then we're going to close it up today with this really fun, I got Ray teed up on this kind of question of the week, which we usually do on our normal episodes of, we'll just say Star Trek logos. All right, I'm not going to tease you. If you want to see what it is, you'll have to wait to the end or just fast forward if you have the ability to do it. So, Ray.
Yes.
I want to jump into it. I want to bring you into sports in the late 22nd to the late 24th century. All right, okay. So we are leaving 2020, thank God. Yeah. Okay, and we are going to the future where there is peace most of the time. Humanity has come together after World War III, as everybody knows. All right, and we are surging forward. And a little bit before the Picard news show out on CBS, which is a great show, by the way, and right after The Next Generation. So what I'm going to do in this first series is I'm going to bring you into sports in the time period of Star Trek. Okay? And I'm going to tell you the actual sports that have appeared in the show. So obviously there's a mirage of sports. A lot of sports are spoken about in the show, but never shown. Some of them are spoken about and shown briefly, and some of them are actually more in depth. But the first sport, which I have to bring up, is ice hockey. All right? Ice hockey had one cameo. And one of the things I love about Star Trek is that if anything's in the Star Trek universe, it's going to get some sort of fan treatment. Okay,
Right.
so if you're watching this again, you'll see that there's probably an image on the screen. Ray can see it too.
Yes.
Ice hockey was only mentioned in one show, which is Star Trek Voyager, where Tom Paris and Harry Kim, who are two characters you're going to see, Ray, are always together playing sports. They're just leaving the holodeck where most sports are played. Right, you know what the holodeck is, right?
Yes,
It's
of
like,
course.
virtual,
Yes, I'm not that.
Of course, just make it.
Yes.
I know. I don't want. You're my best friend. I don't want to surprise you with anything. I figured you would know that.
Yeah.
But as you can see in this image, this is all we got. Was just these two guys walking out of the holodeck in their futuristic uniforms, and someone made hockey cards for these guys, and they're phenomenal if you can see those. But again, this is how sports usually work in Star Trek. It's usually at the beginning of the episode or where they're coming back from a commercial break. They'll just be walking out.
It's a transitional thing.
Right, and I appreciated that. Now, we are going to get a little more in depth.
We pride ourselves on our transitions here. So.
We do, right? So I'm gonna transition into some of the other sports here before I get into the big sport, Ray, which is baseball. Baseball has a pretty soft spot in the Star Trek universe.
I'm very happy to know that baseball is in the 24th century, considering I don't think it's going to get out of the 21st.
Well, there's going to be a spoiler for you on that. You've actually just foreshadowed your own demise.
Oh,
so
goodness.
I can't wait for it. But we will get to it, okay? So some of the other sports that are recognized in Star Trek, like racquetball. Okay, racquetball is played in Deep Space Nine between Miles O'Brien and Julian Bashir. Again, two characters that are kind of always together. They hang out when they're not saving the galaxy, I guess, or the universe, or the quadrant, or whatever they're doing. But they play that. Darts is another popular sport. By the way, if it appears on ESPN, I'm counting it as a sport in this show, except for poker, which I will never recognize as a sport. But that was played in Star Trek quite a bit as well. Anybody who watches The Next Generation knows that. Volleyball, Paris and Kim. Again, they play it, but it's never shown. They just mention that they play volleyball. Okay. Now we're getting into some more in-depth ones. In Star Trek Enterprise, Captain Jonathan Archer, played by Scott Bakula, who also was in Quantum Leap, another great sci-fi show.
Another thing we like to talk about on the show. Yep.
We do. We love Quantum Leap. We think they should bring that show back. If you're with us on that, comment below or let us know, because that's a show that we need back in this time period. But he enjoyed water polo quite a bit. All right. It says here, again, I've done a lot of research, so I'm going to be reading a little bit today. Hopefully this isn't a death by PowerPoint. But he enjoyed water polo, and he played it when he was on Earth. And in the episode called Catwalk, he is actually seen watching water polo, something I've probably never done outside the Olympics.
I was going to say outside the Olympics for sure, but USA.
Anyway, there's probably people from all the world watching this.
Well, yes, no, of course. We welcome everyone, but obviously, Los Angeles, originally from Jersey, Philadelphia, we root for the U.S. So
USA, yes.
Yes.
So, and what's funny is, and this is another cool thing about Star Trek with the captains, they all have these little trinkets in their ready rooms or in their where they sleep in the quarters. And Archer, again, remember, like, Enterprise takes place a little bit more on a submarine level Enterprise. Like, they're not fully the Federation yet. You know what I mean? They're still coming into their own. Right. But he can be seen like bouncing the water polo ball off the wall in his quarters, which, again, someone on the writing staff must have played that game.
Yeah.
for that to make the show. All right.
That's true. All right. That's probably true.
Next one, soccer. All right. So the most popular sport on Earth, really, when you think about it.
Yes.
Soccer was in Enterprise as well. It was an episode called Minefield, where Captain Archer mentions to Lieutenant Reed that England has made the World Cup final, and this is in 2152. Now, that episode probably came out before the last World Cup, when England actually did go pretty far.
Yeah.
So I'm going to guess this was a joke against England, that they didn't make it again to 2152.
Yeah.
If there still is an England in this time period. I mean, there is, obviously. I'm not sure that would have been the case. But, apparently there's peace on Earth, but the countries still fight in regards to sports.
Yeah. There's still that athletic division, that identity by athletics, something that we know very well about, for sure. Obviously, as me, I always rag on Red Sox fans and vice versa, and Boston versus New York, and of course we also Philadelphia versus New York. So I'm not surprised that, as even with peace on Earth, that there's still some athletic tension, we'll say, amongst regions. Yeah,
well, you know what the thing is, I always think about with the holodeck too. Just sidetracking here for a minute. In the future with the holodeck, and again, this is usually the Next Generation on. They didn't really have a holodeck before that. You could relive anything. You could replay anything, and they've had fun with that with other historical events. And meeting historical people. I mean, Picard or Data Data from Next Generation always famously talks to Dr. Stephen Hawking, God rest his soul, and Einstein, and like you can meet these people again with a strong AI. Again, we talk about gaming a lot on our show, Ray, but this is obviously the next level beyond the current capacity.
Well, to go beyond Star Trek, it's kind of like when Superman talks to his father in the crystals in the Fortress of Solitude. Right. It's a similar kind of concept, we'll say, in that idea.
Yeah, consciousness, right? A full-out AI consciousness. So, I mean, I would say, like, maybe I should have asked this earlier, but like when we get through this, I'll want to know what sporting events would we want to replay if we could do it. Yeah. And keeping in mind on the holodeck that you can take off the safety protocols so you can actually get injured if you really want to. But let's keep moving on with the sports that have appeared in Star Trek. The next one, another one from Enterprise, is basketball. In the episode The Forge, the bridge crew, except the Paul, are actually seen playing basketball. And one of the funny things about this, and again, I know you haven't watched that show, which is okay, Dr. Phlox just has an amazing shot accuracy. And again, what's funny about that is it's just like an alien and he can't miss at all because of the nature of the game. And aliens have been known, I shouldn't call them aliens, just non-Federation beings have been known, which are also aliens now I'm thinking about it, to be playing these other sports. In fact, in that hockey scene, they talk about, well, watch out for this species when you're playing ice hockey, they're fast. So always a little bit of a twist, which I always found funny. The next sport, Deep Space Nine, tennis. In the episode Melora, we're finding out. Here's the thing: I'm not sure how many people actually know this fact here. This is hopefully going to be an Easter egg for some of you, but it's known that during his childhood, it sounds like that Dr. Bashir was considering becoming a professional tennis player, and it was revealed that he was actually good enough to do it. However, he chose medicine as a profession. All right. Now, this is probably a good thing. The athlete in me is shouting that he had a chance to go pro in something. But if he doesn't become the doctor, I'll just say a lot of bad things happen in DS9. Like a lot. So he probably made the right decision because he saved the known world a few times in Galaxy and Deep Space Nine. I used to have a Deep Space Nine model kit hanging from my ceiling in my room. So I had all these like hockey posters and then just DS9 just hanging from the wall. That's pretty much my life. Okay. Oh yes, tennis was also mentioned in the Next Generation. Guinan, who was played by Whoopi Goldberg, who's actually going to be coming back in the next season of Picard.
Picard, yeah, yep.
So this is one of those funny ones. She lies to the doctor about, I have tennis elbow, and the doctor, Beverly Crusher, gives her a state-of-the-art tennis racket. That's the only mention. Again, they use these things as ways to get in and out of certain things. But the next sport, Ray, which is baseball. All right, I'm going to show you a picture right now.
So just real quick, I want to say, so basically, you mentioned a lot of sports there. The only ones that I noticed, no golf and no American football, which is interesting. One, probably because it's super boring, and the other because it's probably probably too violent, and probably as it goes forward when we CTE and things like that, probably as we advance as a society, those things probably are no longer enjoyed, I would imagine.
Ray, you have just provided the most perfect segue.
It's what I'm here for. We pride ourselves on our transitions.
We do, and you don't even know that you're doing it. Yeah, that's the best part about it. So, a lot of the times I think when sports make it into Star Trek, right, it's a matter of like the writers or the producers love a sport and they wanted to incorporate it. Like same thing with the ice hockey. Someone must have been a hockey fan for that to appear on an episode, okay? And you'll find, too, as we dive into the episode, that there are some non-real sports or fictional sports that do emulate things like football, but they're not football, right? It's the future. But before we get there, because that's going to be in the games created for Star Trek, okay? The final actual sport, and I can't wait to get your thoughts on this, because this is one of those things now that's actually like, this could potentially happen. All right, so if you're looking at your presentation, okay, Ray?
Yes.
That is Buck Buckeye, okay? And in the 24th century, he is the greatest baseball player of all time. Okay. All right? Now, what people don't realize maybe that don't watch Star Trek is he's also going to be the last greatest baseball player of all time.
Oh, no.
So, in Deep Space Nine, and this is where baseball really shone, was in Deep Space Nine. The co-creators of the show, Michael Piller and Bear, They were big baseball fans, okay? So there's an episode called Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite where they really dive in, okay? Now, one of the main parts and one of the main themes of Deep Space Nine was Captain Benjamin Sisko, who's really the main kind of character of the show,
right,
if you will, all right? Has a baseball with him all the time. He always loves baseball, all right? In fact, you can tell his demeanor based on whether he has his baseball with him or not. And there's actually an episode where he leaves the station and takes the baseball, and they say like he's not coming back, and they go, how do you know? He took his baseball with him. So it's a central part of Deep Space Nine, okay? Mm-hmm. But in this episode, Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite, according to the history of Star Trek, the Earth game, baseball, suffered a decline in popularity that culminated in the final World Series, which was played in the year 2042. Which is only 22 years from now, which is funny.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay?
If we follow the trajectory of where baseball is going, we joke often on the show that sooner or later there's going to be no baseball fans left because we're all going to die off because you're not seeing a huge youth movement right now in the sport. We digress here, but that's a fascinating analysis there from them.
It's weird, yeah, and we could talk about the sport a little bit too, and the fact that the reason we think that baseball might be in trouble, and it's a past, now 2042 might be a little soon, although it might not, is that the game is a little bit too slow nowadays for the way things are speeding up, and they are losing fans. Okay,
yes, that is true.
And this season's hasn't helped. I'll put it that way.
No, it has not.
So the last World Series, Ray, was played in the year 2042 before a crowd of 300, and it was won by legendary baseball player Buck Buckeye. All right, and then it says here, by the 24th century, the now obscure game was appreciated by a relatively small number of aficionados, including Captain Benjamin Sisko, his son Jake Sisko, Cassidy Yates, and astrophysicist Dr. Paul Stubbs. Now, this is what's funny. In this episode, it says that the only organized baseball mentioned is a 6-team league on the distant Cestus 3. So you'd have to go to Cestus 3 if you want to see baseball.
Wow.
But in the episode, and I think you'll like this, a Vulcan Starfleet crew is formed under the leadership of their captain, and they challenge Captain Sisko to a game of baseball in 2375. Sorry, it's always hard to say. There's 2,375. They play this baseball game. All right, I'm going to show you a picture of that now again, and you can see it's ridiculous and awesome at the same time. All right, so the Deep Space Nine team was called the Niners, and if I remember right, the Vulcan team was called the Logicians, right, after logic.
Yeah,
and that's how you have to say it, is logicians. I don't know if it's logicans or the logicians, right?
Right.
As you can see here, Worf is there, Odo is there, God rest his soul, the actor who played him. Mm-hmm. And they did this whole episode. I was actually watching a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff on this episode before coming on today. And it's funny because apparently the actors loved filming this episode because it was just fun.
Yeah.
Right? And the funny thing is some of the characters that were bad in the show were actually very good in real life. So they had to do little tricks like, hey, bat left-handed instead of right-handed so that you look horrible.
That's fun.
Right? Yeah. And then obviously, I won't spoil the episode. I'm going to assume some of you have seen it, but I'm not going to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it because it actually is a pretty good episode. A lot of people don't like the episode, though, because it's baseball. But look, as an athlete, I love this episode. All right? Yeah. And to be fair to the writers of the show, when you're doing 23, 24, 25-plus episode seasons, you got to break up the monotony a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, especially back in the 90s or the early 2000s.
You start to run out of those hooks sometimes for a 60-minute episode, right? So
right. Yeah.
You got to go to the well. And again, and as a writer, as me and Lee are also writers, you write what you know sometimes, and sometimes it's easy to dip into that well, especially if you are a geek who likes sports. Hence
Absolutely.
The name of the show.
And here's the things I do want to commentate on this episode is there's some great scenes. Obviously, the baseball scenes are great. Mm-hmm. There's a scene where Sisko is saying, "Come on, Niners, let's cheer it up" or something like that. And Worf, they're all like, "Yeah, let's get him, swing batter." And Worf's like, "Today's a good day for you to die." It's just like a very Worf moment.
That is actually what I say when I'm on the sidelines of a baseball game. Actually, so
yes,
me and Worf,
I've been there with you.
Yes, that is true. He can actually attest to this. So, I've been called one of the worst fans ever seen before in a stadium for stuff like that.
I was next to Ray when someone called him the worst fan ever, and confirmed that Ray is in fact the best fan ever.
Thank you.
That's all I'll say about that because that person was ridiculous. All right, I'm going to show you some other stuff here. If you're looking on the screen again, there's some new images here. You can see Cisco with the baseball throughout the series. There's a player, the captain of the Logicians, if you will. But I also want to make note to the really cool logo, the Deep Space Nine logo, where they've merged the Deep Space Nine station into the baseball. Yeah. I thought they actually did a really good job with that. I wanted to give that a shout out because it's very rare that Star Trek and sports can mix together in a cool logo like that. But baseball had a really strong place in Deep Space Nine. I always appreciated that they were willing to kind of make that part of the show. And if you watch Deep Space Nine, it was just very fitting for Cisco. He's a type of character that would absolutely love baseball. Yeah. And I loved the playing of, this is a forgotten sport that no one loves. And, he talks about it, Ray, like a baseball fan. And so it was just, I thought this was a cool little intricate thing they did in that show. That's why I saved this sport for last. Yeah. But baseball had its place in Deep Space Nine, and I appreciate it. Okay,
I appreciate that as well. It's good to know that at least it still sort of survives into the 24th century.
Kind of, yeah. It's very dead, but very not. It's survived by Captain Benjamin Sisko. With, if you saw the end of Deep Space Nine, maybe it's not, but that's okay. Yeah. We're gonna keep going here. Okay, so that was our kind of sports in Star Trek segment. This next segment is gonna be real sports in Star Trek, meaning that athletes, and there's only really one instance of this, all right? But I think this might surprise you, Ray. All right, I'm excited about it. Okay. So, Ray, who would you say is, outside Stone Cold Steve Austin, the biggest wrestler of all time in the WWE and entertainment universe?
Well, probably The Rock, if you're talking about all entertainment and whatnot after that, right? Probably The Rock. Dwayne Johnson.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Now,
yes.
Do you know The Rock's first acting credit?
No, I don't actually.
So
I imagine that you're going to lead it in. It's going to be something with Star Trek.
Well, I mean, I don't know what would have given you that idea. No, a lot of people say it's The Mummy. Okay,
right? Of course, that's his big
breakout
breakout role, right? Yeah.
But Ray, they would be wrong. The first role The Rock ever had on television was in Star Trek Voyager.
I was gonna say.
And he is the Pendari champion in a game of Sunkati. Okay? Tsukatsi, excuse me. I always want to say that right. So, long story short, okay, in this episode, which was actually a really fun episode, he fights in a UFC-style arena. I'll just put it that way, where each player has a on the front and on their back, basically an electrically charged button. If you punch it, it gives you like a zzz, like a shock.
Kind of like
and he fights. But with fighting, like you punch it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
yeah. You hit the sensors. Yeah.
And he fights 7 of 9, who I know you know who that is.
Yeah.
All right.
Course, yeah, Jerry Ryan.
And what's awesome about it is he actually does a pretty good job. Now you got to remember, this is in the late '90s, so this is The Rock. It's not Dwayne Johnson really yet, and his brand is The Rock. So he came on the show, and this is back when it wasn't CW back then, but Star Trek, I think it was UPN. But Star Trek and wrestling were on the same channel back at this time.
Yeah, SmackDown was on UPN, as was Star Trek, yeah.
And I'm not even sure it was SmackDown yet. Like that's how early this was, right? So he comes on the show, and he's basically The Rock toned down, right? So he's doing all the things The Rock does, right? But there's no eyebrow. I noticed that there's no eyebrow when he's doing it.
Yeah.
And then I am going to spoil this one because it's awesome. It's a really good choreographed fight. In fact, again, I was doing a lot of research. Martial artists came out about this episode like that was really well done. But leave it to Star Trek, right, to do that. But the match ends of him and 7 of 9 really kicked the crap out of each other, and he ends it with a rock bottom, which is awesome. Right? He rock bottoms 7 of 9, and then like the last thing you see is him just like looking like there's no crowd. It's him looking, right? And then what's funny is I was watching some behind the scene footage of this, of him talking, and actually I wouldn't be surprised if this never saw the air. Because it's him just talking. Like remember, at this time period, all we ever see is The Rock, right?
Right.
If you smell, it's just over the top.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
I could have done that, and I didn't. You should have done. Yeah, that was well done. I'm going to give that to you, right? So he's sitting there talking. Remember, he never acted before. He's like, yeah, this is how he talks. In the entertainment world, you get 40,000 fans, 30,000 fans, 20,000 fans. They let you know right away if you did a good job. In this one, you just don't know till the episode comes out, but everybody says I'm doing a good job. This is how he's talking.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, like, man, you never would have heard him talk like this back then.
Yeah.
Right? And then I dove deeper. I went into the internet, right? And I started watching the trailers for the episode. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because it's like, wrestling's biggest star takes on Star Trek's biggest babe. They said that, which would not at all be appropriate today.
Yes.
And it's like, next time, watch wrestling, watch Star Trek. Ah! And I was like, what is going on here? I want to be in the room where they pitched to Vince McMahon. Listen, Star Trek. Well, who do you want? The Rock. You're sure you want The Rock? Yes. We also want Big Show, who they did actually get. Another quick editing The Big Show was also on Star Trek. He was on Enterprise. He was an Orion slaver. All right, but there's not many 7-foot whatever guys out there.
Well, yeah, no, exactly, yeah.
As you can see from the picture, it's a younger Rock, clearly,
Yes.
but still at the top of his game. And that's him. Actually, I think that's Rick Berman, one of the co-creators of Star Trek.
I would love if Vince was like, if The Rock doesn't do well on Star Trek, he's fired.
Or what if it's like, listen, you can have The Rock,
Yeah.
but we have to have one of the Star Trek people on our show.
Yeah.
And then, Star Trek.
Can
was
we
like,
get Jerry
nobody wants to do
Ryan into a match with the Divas?
There you go. Yeah, back then, right?
Well,
Different world.
That's what Vince would have wanted back then. So,
But I'm
still
glad
now,
you didn't
but
know
would
that.
Get away with it back then.
Yeah, well, no, he's not getting away with that. Triple H wouldn't let it happen.
Not now. No.
But listen. I'm actually glad that you didn't know this. Yes, The Rock's first time not on WWE but acting was in Star Trek, which is a really cool little tidbit of information. And again, we do consider The Rock as an athlete. That's why he's making this episode. And we also talk about the WWE kind of usually the transition point between sports and geekdom, which is exactly what wrestling is.
Yes.
So there you go, The Rock. I am going to go back now, okay? We talked about sports in Star Trek, but I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about games that were created for Star Trek. Now, as a little disclaimer here, all right? I am not going to include, because I can hear the Trekkers out there, Trekkies out there yelling, there's certain games I'm not including here. Games of chance don't really count in this one for me.
That's fair.
I'm not going to mention everything. So while I'm saying this is definitely not going to be complete. If you have a sport or you have something that I'm not mentioning in this episode today, absolutely contact us. Absolutely interact with us after the show. You can find us again at geekswholiksports.com and find our entire lexicon of shows. We're everywhere, which is awesome.
Email
We're very blessed.
Lee at geekswholiksports.com. I'm Ray at geekswholiksports.com. Reach out, follow the Instagram, follow the Twitter. I'll do the social plug in the middle of the show. It's perfectly fine. Follow us on Facebook. Like Lee said, we are all over the place. So feel free to reach out, definitely.
If you're watching this, I want you to look at me. I want you to email me. I have no one to talk about Star Trek with.
Usually me and Lee talk about everything, but this is the one thing, again, like I
This
have
is
a very
my thing.
base level knowledge of, and this is him guiding me through his universe.
Look, Ray will
your
tell you,
universe.
I was geeking out hard before we started recording. I was like, I can't wait to do this. I've been waiting my whole life to do Star Trek shows. It's the truth. Okay, so games created for Star Trek. Again, not the complete list. These are just the ones I'm pulling out for today. So, Ray, the first game you'll like. It's called Velocity. All right, Sounds like a game you'd want to play. It's a game played in a racquetball type arena where opponents try to be the first to acquire the target of a flying discus to shoot it. Sounds a lot like Disc in Tron. Right? The game is scored in points. Each time a player is unable to acquire the disc and is hit by the other player scores a point. The game is played at 10 points. And this is just a game that's mentioned many times in the Star Trek world. That's why I brought it in. The next one's called Spring Ball. This is in DS9. It's a sport played by Bajorans. Bajor is the planet next to Deep Space Nine. Mm-hmm. All right, and it's kind of like the handball, right? And the game is shown during Deep Space Nine in the episode For the Cause, right? So just showing that they do play sports on Bajor, I guess. That's kind of the point of that, right?
Right.
All right. The next one's a big one. Now, this is a game that has really transcended many of the shows like Next Generation and Voyager, and I've heard this said, but it's Parise's Squares, all right? And this is the one I think you'll like, because this is kind of the one that I think emulates football.
Okay.
It's often implied that the game is a high risk of serious personal injury, but I love the description because it says here, nevertheless, much to the concern of parents, the game was quite popular with teenagers during the 24th century. The game involves the use of a piece of equipment called an iron mallet, which I love, and a ramp. And players often wear special padded uniforms. Now, what's funny about this sport, Ray, they never show it in terms of people playing it. What they show is people going to play it or coming back from playing it. And in fact, in Next Generation, William Riker, number 1,
Yes.
Commander Riker,
Yeah.
he's in the with Dr. Crusher in the med bay, and she's lecturing him to stop playing the game like you're 21, right? And then saying further, one day you're gonna break your neck, and I won't be able to heal that as easily because they can fix broken necks in the future.
Of course, yeah.
Right. And then the game goes kind of deep too, because in that same episode, Riker makes a holographic family for himself, and his daughter plays the game, and then she dies playing the game in the episode. So not to make this a downer here, but it's just kind of like, what?
That's
right. And again, it's a holographic family, but she dies playing the game, and I was like, what? Where did this come from? But yeah, that's the episode, by the way. There's no happy ending.
That's
right. And then another note is Harry Kim, who's best known in Voyager, won the Academy Championship 3 times, right? And that makes sense. Again, that's probably how he got his place on Voyager, because he's he's an ensign, right? But Parisa Squares is mainly mentioned as a game played by humans, but other species play it. Some Klingons, and it says this. I'll try and say his name. Makota Rocho was the first Klingon to play the game. I hope you appreciated that. I can't say Makota Rocho. That's not how. Makota Rocho was the first Klingon to play the game when he participated in the controversial championship finals of 23-42. Don't know what the controversy was.
So I was going to say, so he's like the Jackie Robinson then of Squares then. So there you go, in a way.
You can use that.
Maybe?
All right.
Maybe?
Yeah, sure. You know what? It was the controversial championship. It could be anything. Maybe it's just because he's Klingon. I'll take it. They should retire his number. We're calling for it right now.
A league-wide retirement of his number. It should happen in Star Trek.
Let's practice your Klingon. Can you say Makota Rocho?
Makota Rocho.
I'll take it. That was sold. You let us know how you feel at home about that.
Look, I'm new. I don't speak Klingon. I apologize.
I don't either. Don't worry.
So...
Don't worry. All I know about speaking Klingon is you don't speak it. You spit it. Okay? That's all I know. And there are plenty of people that are super fluent in that language.
No, that's perfectly fine. It's good for you. It's I can barely speak English, so I'm still trying to master one language. Never mind a whole another one. So never mind a made up one from TV.
I've always wanted to see a bunch of people that speak Klingon argue with a bunch of people that speak Elvish or Elven. It would be interesting.
So, not to be a downer, but could you speak Klingon in COVID times with a mask on? If you kind of are spitting it out, like, is it safe to speak Klingon right now?
Well, like, are you talking like on Klingon, or like? Well,
I mean, no, like right now, like if we were
a
at
great
a con,
question.
like,
I mean, they wouldn't care. They wouldn't care.
That's
a real
true.
Klingon wouldn't care.
I was going to say COVID probably doesn't affect Klingons.
Well, you know what's funny, Ray, is that, and again, this is one of those things everybody watching will understand that's big into the show, is that there's this big controversy about Klingons because in the original series, they look normal, and then by the time you get to the Next Generation, Worf and on, they have these really different heads, different faces.
Yeah.
So the theory that I think they did try and clear this up in some of the newer shows is that they, as a species, got a major disease that ripped through the Klingon species, and that's what created the I don't want to call it deformity. I don't think that'd be fair.
Kind of like an evolution to combat this disease, basically.
Right. So and that's how they ended up looking the way that they do now. So once again, you don't even know it, but you are unbelievable at finding ways to incorporate Star Trek into this without even knowing it.
No, exactly. I'm just stumbling on. I'm walking through a minefield here, folks, and I just keep on stepping on it.
I'm enjoying it, buddy. Anyway, going on. There's one final game that I'd be remiss again if I didn't mention this, and it's tridimensional chess. And this has been seen pretty much in every incantation of Star Trek. I'm sure you've even seen that. It's the triple level chessboard. What's funny about this game is it first obviously debuted in the original series. We see Spock playing Kirk in it, sometimes Dr. McCoy, and they actually made rules for it in the mid-'70s, and it became a real game, and it's a real game now. I don't know how many people actually play it, but I know there are tournaments.
I would love to learn how to play triple level chess because I actually played. I used to be on the chess team in high school. I actually really like regular chess. So
You would actually really like it, and I'll tell you why. Because obviously it's a lot like chess, but you have to graduate pieces to the higher levels. So there's a whole nother dimension to it. But again, another thing about Star Trek that I love, and again, this is a little bit of a diversion topic, but I've always been amazed at how this show and this series transcends from fantasy to reality in our world. Just to give you an idea, the SpaceX astronauts that just went up to the space station, their suits were heavily influenced by Star Trek. Obviously, not getting political here, but the Space Force logo is obviously, from Star Trek.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I mean, and that happens a lot though, just in general in history, where science fiction becomes science fact because it inspires. Right, the imagination of guys like Roddenberry and whatnot, or Lucas. If I don't want to get many mentioning Star Wars, but kind of sci-fi, any kind of sci-fi, right, typically has it inspires engineers and creators in that realm to turn science fiction into science fact. So that's not a surprise to see a lot of this now starting to leak over into the real world.
Yeah, and obviously Roddenberry's biggest one is just the inclusion of everyone, which the Star Trek audience has always been open arms to everyone, which has always been amazing. Every con I've ever been at, it's been amazing. But just that community, which is all of you watching, obviously, just amazing. But yeah, tri-dimensional chess, Ray, we should play that next time I see you. It actually is a fun game to play, and again, they have tournaments, like I said, and it's just a cool looking board, but. Again, something from the 70s that has transcended time, a game that is now reality in the real world, which I always found amazing. So that's going to move us on to our next topic. I don't have a great transition, but now we're talking about Star Trek stars in real sports. Okay? Now, Ray, I don't know if you know this, but, dude, William Shatner gets around. Okay? I'm talking about the sports, obviously, although there is a double meaning there. I don't need to get into that with anybody. But this guy...
It's a family show, Lee. It's a family show. Come on.
And I'm not going anywhere with this. I'm just telling you that this guy has thrown out more first pitches, I think, than any other Star Trek person in history. Here he is throwing out a pitch at Star Trek night in Boston.
Boo.
Here he is throwing out one for the Dodgers. He's catching there for the White Sox somehow. Again, these are all William Shatner. Yeah. Guy also has been in the football world, okay? So this looks like him at a race with John Elway, which I have no explanation. It's like some of the episodes, no explanation for this. That's just those two together. And this looks a little more recent. I mean, clearly both of them are retired here. Now, Ray, this next one is going to be, I want to see your reaction. I'm looking at you right now. I want to see your reaction to this one.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know, Ray is a massive fan of the New York Giants when they're winning and when they're losing. Okay?
A little
Ray,
tougher when we're losing, but we're not going to get into that right now.
This is William Shatner with Michael Strahan. Again, another
golf course, yeah.
Yeah, on a golf course. There's your golf, by the way.
Well, there's your
golf.
I'm sure that's some kind of a celebrity tournament kind of thing, though. I'm sure, or whatnot. Probably. But that's very cool. Yeah, Strahan, of course, all-time single-season sack champion, 22.5 back in 2001. I was saying, of course, Super Bowl 42 champion over the Patriots. You just mentioned that. Let's go Giants.
Anything to make you feel better as a Giants fan right now, I'm actually going to be okay with because they are so bad.
Folks, if you want to go back to some of the regular episodes, you can see how much of the passion I have for the New York Giants is.
Be kind.
Oh, I'm very kind, except for when we talk about Daniel Dumpster Fire Jones.
Again, the show's Geeks Who Like Sports, people. We talk about sports too. Okay,
yes.
If it's not your bag, it's okay.
It's okay.
All right, but
all
if
are
you
welcome here. We're very inclusive, just like Star Trek.
It's true. If you love sports, and there are lots of Trekkers and Trekkies and Star Trek fans that love sports, we're definitely the show for you. Not plugging us too much, but I am. Anyway, from one captain, all right? James T. Kirk, the football, baseball, racing, golf fan. We go to the other captain, Sir Patrick Stewart, Jean-Luc Picard, a French captain with an English accent, doing the regular things that he does. Obviously carried the torch for the 2012 Olympics. Again, into a lot of European sports or more sports. That's him with Williams, obviously, and Marita Sirtis, from the show. And then that's him also in the bottom left conducting the Michigan Stadium Marching Band. Don't have an explanation. A lot of unexplained pictures in this segment.
Yeah.
All right, including, you want to see an unexplained picture?
Okay.
I have no someone watching this is going to know the next picture and the story behind it, but I don't. And I only included it because it makes no sense. All right? Are you ready?
I am ready.
We have two knighted actors in this next picture, for those of you waiting at home. Star Trek, some of the series included in this. Star Trek, X-Men, if you know where I'm going.
Yep.
Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
The Hobbit.
I'm pretty sure I know where you're going with this.
But I have no idea what's going on in this photo. All right, this is Sir Ian McKellen and Sir Patrick Stewart.
It just popped up on my screen, folks. So that's
with a soccer ball. All right, Patrick Stewart wearing a Seattle jersey, Seahawks, and obviously from the Super Bowl.
I was going to say that's got to be Super Bowl 48, where obviously the Seahawks destroyed the Broncos 43-8 at Giant Stadium. This was a few years ago. I imagine. So I don't know what the story is, but I imagine it's got something to do with them obviously enjoying American sports and whatnot, but also making the joke that obviously they call what they call football is not what we call football.
Yes. Yes, not at all.
But
not at all.
And of course they are best friends in real life. So yeah, I'm sure.
Ray, I looked at this picture longer than I should have. I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay. There's a lot of things going on in this picture. Number one is this is the most American I've ever seen Patrick Stewart look. I've never seen him smile like that before in anything he's ever done. He looks like an American dad that's just really excited about something, right? And then Ian McKellen.
It's probably the most American he's ever looked also, by the way.
That's fair. That's super fair.
Yeah.
Looks like he has no idea what's going on, or he's been out for an all-night, or he's had maybe too many.
Or he's partaking of some of the special things that are now legal in Denver. So
that's very possible. Both of them there.
Yes.
All right, but
because it's legal in Seattle too. That's also true, actually.
There you go. All right. I also don't know what roles they're in right there, but Patrick Stewart looking very athletic. All right. This is what 6 years ago, 5 years ago.
You see, 6 years. This would be 6 years ago. That Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is not too long ago, but there's just a lot going on. I mean, look how wide open his eyes are.
Yeah.
Right, and these two are best friends.
Sir Ian McKellen looks like Peyton Manning after that first snap went over his head and through the end zone, and then you realize if you're a Denver fan that this game was already over 15 seconds in. So
they would win it eventually, but not that year. But yeah,
Super Bowl 50 they won. So
this was I saw this and I was like, I gotta incorporate this in the show. There's no way I can't not incorporate this. All right, we gotta keep
a great picture.
Next one. Next actor is someone beloved by you and me. For me, for Star Trek and another show, and for you, it's going to be the other show, and that is LeVar Burton.
Of course.
Tremendous human being above all.
Yeah,
all right.
Reading Rainbow, of course. And also a frequenter on the $25,000 pyramid.
That's true.
If anybody was ever an old school game show fan, yeah.
I was. I forgot what the network was they created. The Game Show Network was up for a while. I used to love that, but that's what I used to watch. The same. It's
If you're around our age, folks, and you remember the $25,000 pyramid, obviously hosted by Dick Clark, LeVar Burton was also a frequent guest on that show. In the $25,000 pyramid, the idea was you had celebrities giving clues or getting clues from schmucks like myself in the hopes of winning $25,000. LeVar Burton, of course, is a legend for myriad roles that he's done over the years, not just obviously on Next Generation, but of course for everything. Reading Rainbow.
Well, obviously Reading Rainbow, playing Geordie Love Forge. It's funny as I get older, understanding the power of that character in so many different ways that I'm not going to even go into right now. But also a fan of sports. Also want to give a quick shout out to him because I know he was trying to bring back Reading Rainbow.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what happened, but I know the show is now called LeVar Burton Reads. And if you have young children like I do, you can actually have him pretty much read to your kids right now, which I do as well, obviously. But I'm saying that it's just really cool to share that. Reading Rainbow was a major part of my youth. And again, Ray and I are geeks. We were the kids who stayed home and watched that, and we're just good little, it was games, Star Trek, Star Wars, sports. Games, Star Trek, Star Wars, sports, games. You get how it goes.
You get the idea, folks. It was pretty cyclical. Yeah,
I don't hide that I'm a Star Wars fan too. If you can't handle that,
yes,
email me at Lee@Geeks Who Like Sports and let me know. No, I'm just kidding. All right, you can do both. Okay, now we're going to get into the cinematic universe a little bit. This is Chris Pine celebrating the Los Angeles Kings. I don't know if there's obviously after they've won the Stanley Cup.
He's
but
a front runner.
Obviously, as we'll find out in a minute,
Joking,
he absolutely is.
Not
No. Once again, Ray. Once again, you are on point because here he is at a completely different game. Actually, that's his Lakers game. They're playing Dallas, but he's obviously a fan. Also, I think is that Jason Bates. Or Bateman.
Yeah, of course.
So he's there too.
Celebrities courtside. What else is new in Los Angeles?
So going back and forth. There he is. This is him in kind of Captain Kirk. We're winning mode. This is him. I don't know. Maybe that's Jack Ryan mode. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've saved the best picture for last, Ray. I've saved, and you'll love this one because it's going to hit on multiple levels.
Okay.
All right. I'm just going to show it to you. This is Scott Bakula lifting the Stanley Cup with Luc Robitaille in the background.
That's pretty epic. It's pretty epic.
Now, he's one of my favorite actors. I loved when they hired him to do this show, Enterprise. Obviously, I loved him since he was on Quantum Leap. We spoke about that earlier. I'm going to guess this is when Detroit won the Cup a little bit later because Robitaille still looks like he's in playing shape.
He's a player, yeah.
Right? So I'm going to guess this is sometime around like 2003-ish or something like that. Yeah, maybe 2002-ish. I can't remember when the show debuted.
Or maybe even the late. Well, because Robitaille wasn't on the late. That's right. He retired by the time the Wings.
I don't think he was there in 2009.
Right.
Yeah. I could be wrong. I mean, look, it's possible this is like him as an executive, but just from the pictures I'm looking at there, I have a feeling that's
probably early 2000s instead. Yeah. That's fair.
I mean, the only other option would have been 2012 with the Kings, and I don't think I don't know if the show was in production at that time. I can't remember. Obviously, if you know, you'll be shutting it out, but. Something about Scott Bakula lifting the Stanley Cup on a Star Trek set in uniform.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty amazing to me.
That's pretty cool.
Okay. Okay. Are you ready for the final segment, Ray? Because it's going to take a little time, I think.
The final segment. The final frontier.
Okay. Actually, I lied. We have two quick things. I have to go through
theme
nights,
the final frontier.
The second to the final frontier. All right, theme nights happen all the time, but no place more than San Francisco, the obviously future home of Starfleet Academy. So they have a Star Trek night with the Giants every single year.
To be fair, the Giants are so bad, they do a lot of theme nights to try and get folks into the ballpark. So Star Trek and Star Wars is usually equally represented in San Francisco because
that's fine. Obviously some costumes here. Ray, the real question on my mind is, would you wear anything you see pictured here if they were like in Yankee colors? Okay, so this was obviously some of the giveaways. They had a Star Trek cap
for sure.
The Giants.
I mean, I would definitely.
These are pretty awesome.
If as Yankee stuff. Or my teams, Yankees, Giants, New York Rangers, New York Knicks. We don't talk about the last one too much. But yeah, like we yeah, I mean, I would love that. I would love that uniform if that was, Yankee blue and white.
Right. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty cool shirt. I saw some more pictures of families wearing these. I saw them on eBay. I wasn't going to buy one.
Yeah.
Also, the messenger bag, the hat. I mean, or if you're an Orioles fan, I guess you might like this. But, I think this is actually pretty cool. Now, I want to tell all you out there, the reason why Ray and I are kind of, up on this is because we got ridiculed our entire lives for loving stuff like this and then going to sporting events, okay?
Yeah.
So when I see a Star Trek baseball uniform and hat and messenger bag, I'd proudly wear that. And again, we're from the East Coast. On the West Coast, I think this stuff is a little more. There's a reason they put Star Trek rides on the West Coast and not the East Coast. All right, like the Star Trek experience. All right, but not to say there's not Trek fans everywhere, okay?
Right.
But as sports fans, that cap is actually pretty awesome.
No, that's a real nice cap where you just have the team logo on the side, but then obviously it's the
Space
Federation
logo on the front.
Exactly.
The Federation logo.
Yeah. So
all right, the last one's going to surprise you. The Phillies had a Star Trek night. Philadelphia, my home team, and I was like, oh great, I can't wait to look up what type of stuff they did, and they just did Captain Picard with a Phillies logo on his shoulder.
Yeah, that's kind of.
I totally won it. No, just kidding. Yeah,
it's fine if you got it for free, sure, but I expect better from Philadelphia.
I do too.
In general,
I expect if they did this, but a red shirt would have made a lot of sense.
Yeah, red and white
always die. Yeah. Right, the red shirts always die in Star Trek, and in Philadelphia, we never seem to win except.
Well, that's also Flyer colors, right there, orange and black.
That's fair. I don't think I don't know if the Flyers fans would ever jump on that. I mean, I would.
You would,
but
you are, yeah. Flyer fans are an interesting breed.
We are. So Jean-Luc Picard with a Phillies logo. I don't know how many of those got given away. I'm not looking at it. Okay, Ray, are you ready to go to the final frontier of this show?
I am ready, Lee. Let's do it.
Ray, welcome to the final frontier. We're going to have a little bit of a logo battle. Now, what's brilliant about this is you have just enough knowledge to make this interesting, but not enough, and it's not an insult, for you to know so much that the choices will be obvious, okay? Because when it comes to kind of the power of some of these teams, Trek fans are going to say, well, obviously that's the most powerful team, right?
Right.
But you're not going to be there, which is great. So we're going to get the outsider's opinion. So I'm going to run you through several made-up logos for Star Trek sports teams. And at the end, you're going to pick two different teams.
Okay.
You're going to pick the team you'd want to be on, the team that you want to just choose.
Okay.
And then you're going to pick the team that you think would be the most powerful team and why.
Okay.
Okay? And then we can also talk about the worst teams, like who you wouldn't want to be too, just to make this fun. Okay, but I'm going to walk you through these. I do want to tell everybody that I found these logos on Pinterest when I was doing my research. They came from a site that is not up anymore called geeksugar.com. I could not find anyone to credit for the creation of these, which makes this both safe to use on the air and safe to use on the air.
Yeah.
Okay? So I'm going to run through them, Ray. Are you ready? Are you ready?
I'm ready to go.
Okay, here we go. The first logo up is the Cardassian Stratocrats.
Okay.
Just love it. I just love it because there's no way you're going to know anything about the Cardassians. It's funny.
It sounds too much like Kardashian, and automatically that puts me off to it.
Cardassians predate Kardashians in terms of popularity, but this is the point. All right, It does sound like Kardashian. I never would have thought of that. The Cardassians are a rough group of people that are very, very, how do I put it, strong-willed and mean. Okay, so the Cardassians, Stratocrats. The next team, Ray, the Triple Troublemakers. Do you know the Trouble with Tribbles?
Well, yes, I know the Trouble with Tribbles. Yes, of course, that's a classic original Star Trek episode.
And Deep Space Nine. I'll get into that in a minute.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's right. They didn't make a return, but the Troublemakers. I think anybody who had the Tribbles come to town, knowing what they are, would probably be like, ugh. But I don't think it's. I don't think it necessarily. I think to be a middle of the pack kind of team. I don't think I hate them.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah,
you'd probably end up wanting to grab one and throw it at a baseball bat than playing with them.
Yeah, for sure.
There's that great, obviously really great original series episode, but Deep Space Nine did a great job going back in time with that episode. I think it was called Trials and Tribulations. Trials and Tribulations. That's what it was called.
Yeah,
it was one of my favorite episodes. But the Troublemakers. Okay. Ray, I think you're going to like this next one. I don't know why, Ray, when I was putting these together and I saw this next one, I said, this one speaks to me about Ray for some reason. And it's the Gorn Rock Throwers.
Oh, well, of course. The Gorn, again, another classic original series. Shatner versus the Gorn in that terrible lizard suit. Right. But obviously the Gorn are known as a very harrowing and very, warlike species. They actually were brought back in one of the more recent video games that was supposed to be bridging the gap between the new Chris Pine movies, between the movie 1 and movie 2. They did a much better job with the Gorn. The game itself was terrible, but the Gorn in that did seem very threatening. Gorn Rock Throwers, that seems like a team that I could get behind. Yeah.
See, I know you, buddy. You're my best friend for a reason. Yeah. Yes, the Gorn Rock Throwers also filmed at that location where they filmed every movie for some reason. Like even Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey had a scene at that area, like that, like cliff face. Okay, You ready for the next one, Ray?
Yes.
Me too. Ready? It is the Jem'Hadar Zealots. Jem'Hadar, Ray, for just a quick lesson, are a drug-addicted warrior race.
Okay.
That would be the simple way to explain them from Deep Space Nine. Yes, that's who they are. The Jem'Hadar Zealots.
They definitely look like a warrior race for sure. I'm not a big fan of zealots in general, so maybe those would be I don't know, Gorn Rock Throwers versus the Zealots. I'd be rooting for the Rock Throwers. The Zealots could be maybe the Red Sox of the Star Trek universe. I don't know, but
they're purple, man. They're Ivan Ooze. Anybody purple today gets the Ivan Ooze treatment, the Apocalypse treatment.
Yeah, there we go. Bringing in Power Rangers into this.
Right.
There we go.
Right. It's Geeks Who Like Sports, man. And this
Exactly.
this may be the geekiest sports segment we've ever had.
That's
Let's just
true.
be honest about it.
That is true.
Okay. All right. You ready for the next one?
Yes.
Okay. Here we go. It is the Bajoran Prophets. I'm sorry. These make me laugh. So Bajor from Deep Space Nine. Major storylines with the Prophets of the Wormhole. Major plot point for the end of the series. The Prophets live there. They are a powerful, godlike race.
Okay, that logo is kind of dumb, but
It's weak. It's a weak logo.
It's a weak logo. I mean, it sounds like they sound pretty awesome, but like I don't know.
Do they though?
I mean,
They live in a wormhole. I mean, it's just
that's right now the team I would want to play for the least. I would say
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
We better get out of this one. Ready for the next one?
Out of the wormhole.
Here we
Let's
go. Out of the wormhole. Boop. The Q Omnipotence.
Well, even I know Q, but I mean, like
Q.
Yeah.
The Q Continuum.
Yeah, that's the Q Omnipotence.
I like to say omnipotence.
Omnipotence. Oh,
No, you're right. I just wanted to do that for fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of.
It's
basic.
a perfect logo for Q.
I mean,
it
is.
really
It just is. That's it. It's like here he is.
Yeah.
He's.
Yeah.
It's just. You kind of do whatever he wants. I don't know. I'm not feeling it.
No one was. Listen, I don't know if anybody actually ever felt Q. We all liked him when he showed up.
Right.
But I don't know if anybody actually liked him. So that's kind of like, oh, I'd like to see that team play. Not going to root for him though. That's
No.
kind of like that's kind of the attitude. Let's keep going.
Yeah. Okay.
Once again, are you ready?
Yes.
Are you ready? Here we go. The Romulan Warbirds. Awesome logo.
That is good. I like that one, and of course, and I know the Romulans, obviously from the more recent movies and whatnot, but also, of course, Romulans obviously been a huge species throughout Star Trek history.
Right. Cousins of the Vulcans.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and the Warbirds, that's awesome. Space. Obviously with their ships there, that looks great. Absolutely, that's threatening. That's something that you could. Definitely get behind. That's something you'd love to represent. Yeah, I think the Romulan Warbirds. That's near the top right now. That's definitely up there.
Okay, so we is it a front runner or just near the top?
I think it's
like Gorn. You like the Gorn quite a bit.
The Gorn and the Romulans right now, I think, are 1-2.
Okay.
It's real close. I haven't made my final decision yet, but right now that's the top two.
Lots of green. Let's keep going here. The next team is the Elders of Vulcan.
Yeah, no.
These are awesome.
No,
the Elders of Vulcan.
Yeah,
Ray,
I mean, look,
with old Spock.
I get that, but like it.
It sounds like a team that you'd have in a geriatric.
Old men are not threatening.
Not at all.
Not a team I'd want to play for. I don't care how logical they are and how they probably actually.
This is a baseball team you'd want to play on because of the logic.
Well, yeah, maybe too much. There's maybe too much logic. There's maybe too much logic right now in baseball. That's a whole other discussion for another time.
That's very fair.
The Elders would be the sabermetricians right now, probably. They would be looking at the books all the time. They'd be trying to be like the Yankees, where they care more about what's in their book or what's in their holopad or whatever, and then instead of what's actually happening on the field, and then realize, we lost the series. We lost
with new GM Billy Bean. I also love that this is not.
They would introduce Moneyball. Yes.
Right. I also love this is not the Vulcan Elders. It's the Elders of Vulcan.
Yeah. Nah, that's
right,
where it's the bottom. They're only slightly ahead of the Prophets. Only slightly.
Here we go. The Borg drones. Can you imagine playing the Borg drones? Right away. Resistance is futile.
Yeah, they just assimilate the other team and then take on all their strengths and then move from city to city until they're the champions every year.
The Borg drone. It is like a good logo, though.
So kind of like the Yankees.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
The Borg drones. There is no other name. I mean, that's what they are.
Yeah. So
right?
I mean, I'm still I'll put the drones third right now. I'm still feeling more the Gorn and the Romulans, but the Borg I think are number 3. Because again, I like that idea of just going and getting better and better and taking the best parts from all the other teams in the league.
They'd walk into a game going, "We are Borg. We will add your biological and athletic distinctiveness to our own."
Yeah.
Resistance is futile. Okay, next one. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. It is the Bathlets of Kronos.
I mean,
I would. This is a football team you want to play on.
all right. I mean,
all right. You want the Klingons on your side on this one. I wouldn't want to play football against the Klingon.
that's true. That's true.
Although we haven't said what sport we're talking. This is kind of just an overall thing.
Yeah, this is just an overall thing. I mean, if we're just going by logos, it's okay, man. I like the blade there, obviously. Like, I mean, that's it's a cool logo. But I mean, yeah, if we're playing football, I mean, yeah, you want Klingons. If you want baseball, I don't know if you have a lot of Klingons probably getting run out by the Empire. Probably if we're playing
too
baseball.
Angry.
Yeah.
Like
every pitch they would charge the mound, and then like you'd have the umpire have to throw them out, and like.
Can you imagine if the umpire didn't call a strike? Today is a good day to die.
Yeah, I mean, you would have to have, if Klingons were on the field, you would have to have the computer home plate strike zone calling balls and strikes, just so that the Klingons could not argue balls and strikes.
Right, but there is no baseball in this time period, so
right. It's a relic. It's a bygone sport. It's pretty much extinct. So
okay, we're getting towards the end now.
Okay.
The next team is the Ferengi Inquisitors.
Okay.
So the Ferengi are all about leverage and money and business, and that's their entire species.
Oh, so maybe that's the Yankees then.
Yeah, it's not unfair actually.
Yeah.
That might be the ownership group.
Yeah, those are the guys who, or maybe that's the guy who just bought the Mets. The guy who just bought the Mets for $2.4 billion. The what's his name? I can't think of his name. The hedge fund manager that just bought the Mets.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to tell you right now. Knowing the Ferengi, they are the Mets. That is absolutely the situation that they're in.
Yeah, that
Mets
feels
fans,
like
we're right.
That feels that feels like all right.
Yeah.
So
They
because of that,
win.
that means they're basically a dumpster fire of an organization, and they are at the last place almost every year. So I don't want anything to do. They
have the rules of acquisition.
Yeah,
and they rarely win.
There you go. So
so
they're probably a last place team. I don't want to deal with them.
No, you don't. Now, the next team is a little bit cliche, but it's the Starfleet Cadets. It seems more like a college team to me. Cool logo though.
That's a coastal league team. Like if you're maybe an indie league team or something. But I think like you could see them in the College World Series of baseball, right? Like the East Coast Carolina, whatever. Like that's
whatever the SEC, the Starfleet C is in the future. I could see them being it.
Yeah, the SFC. Then that's
whatever it is.
Right. Yeah. So there you go. They could be the Alabama of college football maybe or something.
Okay.
Or Clemson. So there you go.
There's one logo left, but I've already disqualified them from the competition.
Okay.
And you'll see why in a minute.
So they are the Deadpool of today's episode.
Yes. So for those of you who don't watch our normal episodes, Deadpool's almost disqualified from everything that we do because he's so awesome. But this one's not because he's awesome. It is red though.
Oh.
But I don't think you'd ever want to play on the red shirt Expendables.
No. They are automatically
team. This is an adult league beer league team, right?
Yes.
The red shirt Expendables. I didn't think you'd pick them, so I automatically suspended them, Ray. I also suspended them because it would have messed up this last slide, which is so beautifully symmetrically placed in order, which is all of the teams that we have spoken about today. So, Ray, the moment of truth has arrived as we begin to close out this episode. There are 12 teams here. I'm going to run through them again. You're going to tell me what is the team you'd want to be on, your favorite logo, and then what team do you think would be the best team between the Cardassian Stratocrats, the Tribble Troublemakers, the Gorn Rock Throwers, the Jem'Hadar Zealots, the Bajoran Prophets, the Q Omnipotence, or Omnipotence, as you say, which is right, the Romulan Warbirds, the Elders of Vulcan, the Borg Drones, the Batlets of Konar, the Starfleet Cadets, or the Ferengi Inquisitors. I'm not going to lie to you. That was way harder to say all those names than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that was a lot. I give you credit, dude.
The Batlets of Konos. Okay, so Ray, let's start with the team you want to be on. This is pure fandom. There's nothing to do with power. Who are you playing for?
You know what? I actually really, really like their logo, and I think that it sounds really cool. I think I'm actually going to go with the Romulan Warbirds.
Ooh, that's a cool name.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie with you. That's a cool name.
That is a cool name, yeah.
I really like the Gorn Rock Throwers.
They're below. Like it was super neck and neck, but the more I think about it, I think Romulan Warbirds would be more my speed, I think. Especially again the logo.
Meet in the middle.
It's also the logo. The Gorn. It's just the
something about it.
It's just the weak lizard mask from the 1960s. Like I mean, the Warbirds is actually that cool ship. So I like that more.
So let's meet in the middle.
Okay.
The Warbirds is the pro team, and the Rock Throwers is their minor league affiliate.
There you go. They're AAA team. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, and it makes sense because Rock Throwers is total AAA name. Warbirds is not.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now Ray, which team here do you think would be the best team to have? Like based on their logo, their name, assuming that people from those places play there.
Oh, the best team. I mean,
I have an answer for this. I think it's kind of obvious, but maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, it's tough, right? So for me, it goes either. I mean, just in terms of power level, right? From what you're talking about, Q or the Prophets sound pretty high up there. Obviously, depending on the sport, Klingons and the Borg are definitely probably pretty high up there. I would probably go with the Q Omnipotence. In terms of power.
That's what I would go with too.
Yeah.
In pure power, there's nothing that could probably rival them. They exist outside basically space-time.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
I mean, but in terms of athletic ability, I'm probably going to take the Klingons. I'm probably going to take the Bathletes. Yeah. Although we can't not talk about the Borg.
Yeah.
They're pretty powerful and they can assimilate.
That's
and,
what I was saying earlier, right? Just go from city to city, world to world, and taking the best of everything and just turning themselves slowly into a powerhouse. That's like the most lopsided trades in history, right? That's Babe Ruth for $100,000 for Boston. They made the Borg do that every time they play.
Every time.
So.
And then they just add their athletic ability. So by the time you're right, Ray. I mean, the drones are like one of those not Cinderella teams, but they're one of those like dark horse teams. You don't expect. Just like the real Borg, they just kind of come out of nowhere and are somehow defeated by humans, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
If you're wondering why we didn't pick the Gorn couldn't beat Kirk, so they don't make the list as super powerful.
True. Yes.
All right. Ray, the worst team, the team you would not play for, they couldn't pay you to play for them.
The Kardashians.
Really?
No.
The Cardassians. That is going to bug me now. Every time I hear that, I'm going to hear that.
Yeah, no.
The Cardassians, yeah.
The one I couldn't play for, probably it's either the Elders or the Ferengi. Probably are up. Yeah, those are the guys that are towards the bottom. So
I mean, I look. Here's the thing. I love Spock and I love Vulcan, so I don't think they'd be on my list. I'm kind of between. The Ferengi would be really hard to deal with in terms of just like hanging out with them. But I mean, the Tribbles might be a problem. I mean, but they're so.
I heard
cute.
there's a lot of trouble with
those
those
Ferengi.
Tribbles. I heard there's a lot of trouble with them.
A lot of troubles, trials and
franchise.
tribulations.
Yes.
Yeah, they are. Yes, they keep multiplying.
Yeah.
So the Ferengi, I think, would be the way to go.
Yeah.
In terms of, I don't think I could hang out with them. They're just money driven. They don't care about anything.
Yeah.
They treat women like crap. It wouldn't be a fun team to play on. All right. And like the middle teams, the Star Trek or Starfleet cadets would be fun to play on.
I think so.
Okay. The Zealots would be in.
They're okay. Yeah.
Yeah. The Prophets.
Yeah.
All right. So most importantly, that's what we think, but we want to know what you think. So make sure that if you're watching this, comment below. Let us know what you think of the team. What team would you play on? Which team did we not mention? Is there a team here that you didn't see that you'd want to see? Obviously, contact us. You can email me at lee@geekswholikesports.com or ray@geekswholikesports.com, or you can visit our sites, geekswholikesports.com. That is the end of the episode. So before we go, I want to once again shout out, thank you to Virtual TrekCon for having us on this show means a lot to us. It really is a dream come true to me. I want to give a shout out to my producer, Caitlin, our producer, who has edited this episode together and actually made this possible. So Caitlin, you're actually the one who made my dreams come true. So thank you for that.
I'm just happy to be here.
And Ray's just happy to be here. And then above all, we want to give a shout out to all of you that are watching, all of you that love Star Trek, all of you that have made the world a better place through this show, through this canon, and through everything that Star Trek provides. Thank you so much for allowing me to be part of the community and listening and watching this show. It means a lot to us. That's going to do it for the episode. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Ray, any last words before we go?
No, just live long and prosper. And yeah, all right. No, I thank you.
There
thank you all.
I can do it.
Yeah, I can do both hands too. Yeah. So
Thank
you.
you
Thank you all for tuning in. we're going to I think we're gonna hit warp 9 now and get out of here. And thank you all so much.
There it is.
For as I hit my microphone. Oops. But thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Like Lee said, and we go Geeks Who Like Sports. Find us on Facebook. Anywhere podcasts are heard: Apple, Google, Spotify. We are everywhere. And yeah, thank you again all for watching. We really, really appreciate it.